Their branding is fantastic. It's bold, it's hard-hitting, you cannot miss it. The question I have is if they do choose to move to a more mass market audience, how they tone that down from the jacked up fitness folk without alienating that initial target audience. They found that amazing balance between being funny on social without making their business a joke. So what about the opportunities for growth? Grenade, you know, the little protein bars, bright colored packaging, big tanks and grenades in their marketing. Grenade exploded into the headlines recently after selling to Mondelez, the owner of Cadbury, for £200 million. Grenade's a £50 million revenue business with a 10% profit margin. The founder's still very much at the helm. Well, in today's video, we're going to be reverse engineering Grenade's digital marketing to see how they've built their business and their brand online. They do a bit of social, they do a bit of influencer, they do a bit of SEO, bit of content marketing, and a bit of pay-per-click as well. So we're going to be taking a look at all of that, seeing what's going well and what the opportunities are for growth, and of course, what the lessons are for your business. So stay tuned if you want to sell more stuff. Remember, it doesn't matter whether you're selling grenades or grenade protein bars, the fundamentals of digital marketing never change. So the value is always in looking at what other people are doing and saying, how can I apply this to my business? Ready? Let's do this. So, whilst on the surface, Grenade's digital marketing goals and plans might be quite similar to someone like Huel, for example, where they want to sell a consumable product to a fitness type crowd, actually there are some fundamental differences. One of the main things that makes Grenade stand out from a lot of the businesses that we've looked at so far in these deep dives is that their main way of selling product is through retail. So really what their digital marketing needs to do is put a brand worm in your head so that when you enter that store and you see those grenade bars in front of you at the checkout, you grab them and you buy them. So that makes a lot of what they're doing much more brand focused than, say, someone like Huel or like a lot of the Hut Group brands where they're trying to drive you straight to their website to make a purchase. Of course, Grenade does have a direct consumer piece, but as we'll see, their website and the whole D2C part of the business really feels like an afterthought. It doesn't feel like a top priority. Now, I know that driving to retail feels quite, dare I say, old-fashioned these days, but for their new owners, Mondelez, this is their modus operandi. This is what they are used to. Whether that will change in the future remains to be seen. But of course, if they did make the move to direct consumer, there is a lot of opportunity. For one thing, selling direct consumer, you have higher profit margins. This means you can invest more in your marketing. It also means that they have more customer data because they would know, they would have the contact details of the people that are buying their products. That means they can remarket to them. It means they can put them in audiences and run ads to them. Direct consumer also allows you to be a bit more innovative with your sales model. For example, you can look at subscription purchases, you can have members clubs, you can have surprise boxes that people get every so often. Which is why I think if Grenade was launching today, they would be predominantly direct consumer. But whilst they do have that retail visibility, they always have the option to use retail as essentially lead generation. They get that impulse purchase in store and then bounce someone back into purchasing with them directly through their website, giving them that margin, giving them the access to consumer data. So don't write them off yet. So as always with these deep dives, we're going to look at the different aspects of Grenade's marketing. We're going to take a look at their website, their branding, their positioning. We're going to have a look at their conversion optimization, then take a look at how they're driving traffic to their website and how they're building their following, mostly through search and social. Social's a big one for them. We're also going to be taking a look slightly critically at some of their influencer marketing as well. Then at the end, we're going to wrap up with the lessons, the things that Grenade are doing really well, which you might want to learn from, and also the things that they're not doing so well, which you can, again, learn from, but make sure you're not falling into the same potholes. Okay, first up, their website. This is a bold, bright website, which is exactly what Grenade's brand is all about. If you've seen their products, it's like they had a really good discount on colors on the day they were designing these products. There's color everywhere. It's bold, it's high contrast, it's no nonsense. I mean, to be honest, this is kind of what you would expect from a brand called Grenade. A grenade is something designed to kill multiple people by blowing their bodies up. So it would be kind of weird if their color scheme was neutrals and nudes, right? This for me is one of Grenade's biggest advantages. They are so easily identifiable. They've used tanks and grenades in their stunts. They've got a big grenade-shaped balloon, which they use as well. You know, Grenade is one of those businesses where when you see their marketing, you immediately know it's them. It's blowing stuff up. It's boys' toys, really. Now, we will come back to this a little bit later on, because whilst this makes them stand out, depending on which direction they choose to take the brand, this could become a limiting factor later on. Yeah, that's called an open loop. That's designed to keep you interested. Okay, I'm going to be a little bit critical with their website here, because I think they can take it. So, whilst the high energy and the branding and stuff is awesome, the website to me feels a little bit unloved. Now, it's a Shopify site, so the basic flow and the product pages and checkout process is all fine. There's no conversion optimization stuff, which is a glaring error. But the whole thing to me just feels a little bit unloved, maybe a little bit 2017. If you've ever had a go at building a site and it looks pretty good, but it just doesn't quite look right, and then you get a designer in, they just nudge things over a few pixels. They just change the ratios. They just make things look a little bit more balanced. They work with the color contrast a little bit more. And then when you see it, you're like, that's great, but you can't put your finger on it. I'm getting that sense from the Grenade site. So on the whole, like I say, it functions pretty well. Sure, there are some areas which don't really work as well. So for example, on the product pages, we have these videos which are kind of cut off and you can't really see them, and it's all this stuff overlapping and things like that, which isn't really great. We got little telltales like out-of-date copyright. Now call me pernickety, but come on, this is a £50 million revenue business that sells through your websites. You need to focus on this stuff. You need to get this stuff right. I tried to sign up for their loyalty program and I couldn't because it kept bouncing me back to the registration page. At the top of the site, we've got these scrolling benefits in the benefits bar. Now these are pretty good. Order by 11 PM for free next day delivery if you spend over £30. We've got a free gift over £45 and subscribe to our emails and save 20%. But I don't know how to subscribe to the emails. I can't click on this, which means that I don't know how to do this. If I want to make a purchase, I think, well, I'm going to be overpaying because I should have subscribed for 20% off. I just don't know how. So just like having a promo code too prominently in your checkout can lead to checkout abandonment because people think, well, everyone else is using a promo code, where's mine? Similar sort of thing here. So it's these little tells which give us an indication that direct to consumer really isn't their focus. But if they were going to go direct to consumer as their focus, or they wanted to make more of it, it's this stuff that really needs work. If you have a look at any of the big D2C players, you'll see there are very few holes to be found. The bar is raised. This stuff might have been okay in 2017, 2018. 2021 and onwards, it's not okay. The standards are better than this. So I'd like to see them do a little bit more here. Now, one thing that is pretty cool, which I wanted to show you, was this pick and mix selection thing. Now, I don't know how well this is working. I don't know how popular this is as a product, but the implementation is pretty cool. So you have this box of 24 bars, which is a great way to upsell people in quantity, and they get a discount for buying in bulk. And as you add them to your cart, they appear in this cool thing. So you can see exactly what you're getting. And this tells you how many bars you have left. Now, this is a really great way of selling in bulk because it forces people to meet the 24 bar threshold, which is £42, which seems to me to be the sort of order value that they want to be targeting, given their free delivery and free gift thresholds of £30 and £45 respectively. Now, obviously I'm reviewing this site on desktop, which is a little bit unfair because clearly they've designed this site for mobile. In fact, they've designed it for mobile so far that I would actually say that the desktop and tablet experience feels very much left behind as opposed to mobile. Now, you can understand this given the proportion of traffic that they're going to be getting from mobile versus desktop and tablet. But I would always caution businesses to make sure they're not neglecting the desktop and tablet traffic, because often the conversion rate of those people is much higher. Now, looking at their product pages, they're pretty good, as you would expect for a business that sells a relatively small range of products. These product pages are really, really important, as they are for any business. So we can see that we've got key questions being answered here. We've got a video which shows how they are made, which we'll come back to in just a second. We've got bundles, and then we've got the reviews down here. So this is pretty much what we would expect. Of course, product images always help, and we've got some decent-ish looking images here. We can kind of see what's in the product as well. But back to this video thing. For me, this video is an opportunity and has some issues. The first thing about it is, yes, it's great to see how it's made, but this doesn't look like it's actually filmed by Grenade. It looks like it's made by Insider. You just can't escape the fact that the manufacturing for some of these highly processed snacks doesn't look massively appealing. But by far my biggest issue with the video is the missed opportunity. And that opportunity is the chance to build personality around the business. Alan and Julie, the founders of the business, are still very much involved, and I would have loved someone from Grenade talking us through the manufacturing process, explaining each stage, explaining the nutrients that are in each one, why they came to the formulations that they did, how it's all built, to add a bit more personality to this. At the moment, it's completely bland. There's nothing that separates this, for example, from a Mars bar other than some pictures of grenades and tanks. So I would love to see a bit more of a small company ethos coming through here and using that personality. We saw, for example, in the Huel deep dive, how Julian, the founder of the business, is still very much involved and uses his profile to build a community around the business that is involved in the story and the growth of Huel. I don't get that sense as much with Grenade. It feels very much like they're quite detached from their audience. For example, with Huel, we have Hueligans, we have people self-identifying and tagging themselves as Hueligans on social media. We have the forum built into their website, making it very clear that the audience is so close to the brand. And that's something that you can do when you're at 50 million in sales. You can't do that at 500 million at huge billion-dollar generic corporation level. You just can't do that. But at this stage, you actually can. And that's one of the things which makes these sorts of brands so exciting, is that you can build that relationship. So I'd love to see them focusing on that a little bit more. So on the whole, we are left with the feeling that there is opportunity. So let's now take a look at their social media channels, starting with Facebook. We're going to start with Facebook because it's the channel that has the largest following of over 300,000 likes. Now, what sort of content are they posting? Like all their social channels, it's a mixture of product-focused stuff and also some kind of gym meme type stuff, as well as bigger branding things. So we've got stuff like this, which is obviously like a gym video. It's a surprising thing where you just don't think that she's gonna do that. You've got some product-focused stuff featuring gym-type people. And then you've got almost the opposite of the gym, the food type stuff. Now, engagement-wise, they are firmly and proudly members of the Low Organic Reach Club, of which every Facebook business page owner is a full member. So we're getting very little engagement on some of these posts, really, which is a shame. I mean, it wouldn't kill them to just pay a few quid to boost a post every so often, but clearly they don't feel the need. However, we do get the sense that this page also is a little bit unloved. For example, they've got stuff like this where they've got user-generated content with an influencer, but they haven't tagged the influencer. They haven't tagged Nathan, which, you know, it's great. This must have taken loads of work, but they haven't tagged Nathan in the post, so he's not going to share it with his following. Why? We've got spam comments still being visible days after these things are posted. Like, just tidy it up. Just take some care about your page. You've also got some borderline sexist comments on some of these videos, which is potentially really off-putting to a large segment of the audience. Now, for me, there are some really simple things that they could do to improve their engagement and improve the visibility of the stuff that they're doing on Facebook. For example, sometimes in their posts, people are tagging their friends. Why not encourage more of this? For example, rather than just saying every single time, why not just say, tag this friend? If we move over to their Instagram following, we see they're getting a lot more engagement with Instagram than they are on Facebook. So whilst they've only got 226,000 followers, they got fewer than they have on Facebook. The number of engagements that they're getting per post is significantly higher. Join the club. Using Social Blade, we can see they're posting approximately once per day, and their following is growing about 1% per month, which is okay. But if we contrast this with recent deep dive victims Huel, we'll see that Huel is posting about half as much, but their followers are growing by about 4% per month instead. Plus their average engagement rate is higher at 0.58% compared to 0.37% for Grenade. So what's going on here? Well, for me, one of the main reasons that Huel has stronger engagement ties back to that idea around community that we talked about earlier. So Huel's followers label themselves as Hueligans. They call their email list the Hueligans, and people clearly identify with this business. We don't see that as much with Grenade. We can also see some subtle differences in some of the posts that they're sharing as well. Now here we have two posts which on the surface are pretty similar. We've got both brands announcing that they are stocked in Tesco. Now, whilst you could say, yes, the Huel picture is slightly better, the Huel product is bigger compared to the Tesco background, compared to the Grenade one where the product is much smaller, the Tesco is much bigger, and the image maybe looks a little bit more homemade. For me, the biggest difference is actually in the caption. With Huel, we have a long caption talking about Hueligans and the fact that Huel got into Tesco because Hueligans were repeatedly asking them to be stocked there. There's a sense of community here. There's a sense of you asked, we did, we're in this together thing. Whereas if we compare this to the caption on the Grenade one, it just says, grab our brand new fudged up carb killer flavor in Tesco and Co-op stores now. Where's the engagement? Where's the audience? Where's the sense of camaraderie? There's a real opportunity here because actually this is potentially a really big milestone in any business's life. This is a company with very lowly beginnings now being stocked in one of the world's largest supermarket chains. This is a huge moment. If you had one of the founders of the business talking about how, this is such a big deal. I remember the first time we were stocked in Tesco, won't escape me. I had people texting me and calling me saying they could see the product in the store. You could build a bit of a story around this. Just because the brand is now owned by a huge corporation doesn't mean that you can't still use that origin story and use the founders and the personality of the business to explain how much this means to the followers. That makes Grenade not just another bar, that makes it something with a story and a background that people can build a relationship with. Huel does this, Grenade does not. Okay, the next thing I want to touch on is Grenade's influencer strategy. Of course, for a business like this, influencers are a fantastic natural match. Getting your product in the hands of people with a following on social media, particularly for a business where the target audience is so easy to identify, it should be an absolute home run. And whilst Grenade are using influencers, I do think that there are opportunities to take this to another level. Firstly, let's talk about the influencers that they choose. This is some of the sorts of content that Grenade are posting. This is in the gym, this is people that are big, this is workout routines. So one of the questions I have is why they chose to partner with Diversity, which is a UK dance group, which first appeared, I think, on Britain's Got Talent, one of these TV talent shows. Now, Diversity are amazing. Ashley Banjo, their founder, has a huge following on Instagram of over 1 million people. But this is a very, very different audience. This is a primetime TV, quite a safe, family-oriented audience, which is totally cool if Grenade are making the play to be more supermarkets, to be more mass market. The trouble is, we have these two potential audiences. We have #GetShitDone with jacked dudes in gyms doing weights regimes, and then we have clean-cut TV team Diversity doing their dance stuff. I have other challenges with some of this Diversity stuff. For example, there are some of the posts in here where it's clear that some of Diversity haven't tasted the products before, which is a bit of a whoops if you want to make something authentic. But really my biggest kind of question and concern is whether they really understand their target audience based on their choice of influencers. Now, I just want to show you a couple illustrations. And again, this is not a criticism of Ashley Banjo, who is fantastic and a phenomenal influencer to work with. You can see him working with detergent brand Persil, and for me that makes total sense because this is a family-focused product. So Grenade and Diversity worked together on a short film, which was amazing. We're talking like Hollywood effects, we're talking blowing stuff up, guns, tanks, helicopters, that type of thing. It was phenomenal. Must have cost an absolute bomb. Here is the trailer photo for that on Ashley Banjo's feed, and you can see we've picked out 5,700 likes and 54 comments. So a reasonable response, but not huge engagement given Ashley's following. Whereas here's an ad hoc picture of Ashley at home with his family picking up his kid. You can see it's had almost 10 times the likes and 4 times as many comments. Now, one of these posts cost tens of thousands to put together. The other one was a free quick snapshot. This for me illustrates that we haven't quite got the target audience right here, and that Ashley Banjo's following aren't necessarily the Grenade target audience. Now, as I've said, this for me is more than just about which influencers you choose. This is about really understanding your target audience, and this is where the direct consumer model has some advantages because you have such close interaction with your target audience so you can really get to learn who they are. Now, the way to find influencers isn't really to look for the people that you know who have the biggest following. The way to look for productive influencers for your brand is to look at who are your audience following, who is inspiring them, who are they reacting with, who are they engaging with. There's really simple ways to do this. For example, on the Grenade Instagram page, they posted this competition where you've got to name the flavors in order from top to bottom here. This is the sort of challenge that you have to be a regular consumer of these products to win. I wouldn't know where to start with this. So you're gonna have to be, to some extent, a bit of a super fan to get this right. Now we can see some of the people that are entering this and we can see who's getting it right. And we can see that they are personal trainers, they are fitness coaches, they are people that are into fitness and exercise, which makes sense because that's Grenade's content on Instagram as well. But they are not following dance influencers. They're following a similar audience to someone like Gymshark, they're following super fitness PT type influencers, they're following professional sports people that have a reputation for conditioning. So this would be where I'd be looking to mine influencers rather than just who are general famous people. Now, working with lower level influencers but that are more niche is going to help you in so many ways, because by having over 200,000 followers, Grenade then also has a platform to grow those influencers. That's going to mean that the influencer is going to be more incentivized to create user-generated content for Grenade, knowing that Grenade might then share it on their page, which will help raise the influencer's profile as well. Also, working with these lower level influencers, they're going to be way more excited to work with you. So they're going to do more, they're going to provide more stuff, they're going to be more creative and spend more time thinking about how they can promote your business. And of course, there is the massive advantage that you won't have to pay them anywhere near as much as you might have to pay general famous from TV type celebrities. By the way, before we continue, I hope you're enjoying this video. If you're not, why are you still here? But anyway, if you're enjoying this video, we release a new video like this every single week. So subscribe to our channel and also give us a like on this video and let us know in the comments what's your biggest takeaway so far. We're also really keen to identify more brands that we can do these digital marketing deep dives for. So if you have any requests, let us know down below. We read all of the comments. Oh, and by the way as well, if you want some help with your business's digital marketing, that is exactly what the team here at Exposure Ninja does. We build websites and drive traffic to those websites for our clients. We help our clients generate more leads and sales online. So if you want some help growing your business, the best thing that you can do is request your free website and digital marketing review from us. During this free review, one of our team will take a look at your website, your digital marketing, your strengths and weaknesses. They'll also have a look at your competitors as well. They'll then map you out a prioritized action plan that you can follow over the next 6 to 12 months to significantly increase the leads and sales that your website generates for you. This free website and marketing review, as the name suggests, is totally free and completely awesome. You can request yours. All you have to do is fill in a short questionnaire. So go to exposureninja.com and click the big button to request your free review today. Okay, let's talk about search. Now, you know me, I love search. It's the perfect digital marketing channel. You get to appear right in front of people that are searching for exactly what you do or what you sell at the moment they most need it. You couldn't ask for anything more. Now, for a company like Grenade, search really has two functions. Firstly, we have basic transactions. If I'm searching to buy Grenade bars, I'm going to go onto Google and type Grenade bars, and they have a chance at selling me them directly rather than me having to go through a retailer. Pretty simple. But the other opportunity with search is product discovery. So people that don't yet know about Grenade but might be searching for something like protein bars. So they can get some pages, some content, some products in front of those people in that moment and get a chance to introduce Grenade to them so that when they're next in store, they see the Grenade bar, they're like, protein bars, I remember reading about that. Or make the purchase directly through the website. So let's see how Grenade is doing with search. So we've just Googled protein bars, and what we see is exactly what we would expect to see for a search like this. A lot of ads, both shopping ads at the top here and also text ads down here. Now we can see Cliff Bar, which is selling direct to consumer. We can see Huel, also selling direct to consumer. Looking at the shopping ads, we've got a whole bunch of different people selling different protein bars. Now Google Shopping is competitive. Basically, if you're relying on making ROI on the first purchase, you can struggle. You need to be really well optimized to make that make sense for you. So really, what you'll notice is that you've got businesses selling a high quantity so that they can sell for a higher average order value, or you've got a lot of these sorts of businesses where they are selling direct to consumer. They know that if you buy once, they can follow up with a restocking sequence to get you to purchase multiple times. Grenade should be here. There is no question. If you look at the reviews for people that have eaten Grenade bars, they are off the chain. People freaking love these things. They talk so highly of them, it is ridiculous. So for me, the job in search for Grenade is get these bars into as many mouths as possible, knowing that those people are going to turn into repeat customers, but they are nowhere to be seen. Bit of an opportunity there. Now, Grenade are ranking organically in position 3 for this term. It's their protein snacks page which ranks, and this is where I start to feel my stomach tighten, my heart rate start to raise, because this, friends, is low-hanging fruit. We can see the pages that are ranking here are protein bars. We can see the URL is protein bars because I've searched for protein bars. We can see the position 2 is protein bars. We can see the URL on Grenade is protein snacks. The page title starts with protein snacks. Now, protein snacks is a fine term to target, but for protein's sake, they're selling protein bars. Let's just call this protein bars. Let's change that H1 to protein bars instead. If you want us to make a separate page talking about protein snacks, which has your biscuits in, then fine, go and do that. Let's slam this as hard as we possibly can to get this ranking for protein bars in position 1, because that's where we're going to get all of the traffic. How much content is on this page? Almost nothing. Go for the jugular! For a company called Grenade that has its headline as Get Shit Done, I want to see them dominating this like they're crushing a mini with a tank. And at the moment, it just feels like an afterthought. It's devastating. Protein bars is a phrase that has a search volume in the UK of approximately 27,000 per month. This is a term you want to be crushing for, and you want to be converting as much of that traffic as possible. So let's make the freaking world's best page for someone who's just searched for protein bars. Now remember, the other part of search is your ability to target top of funnel traffic, i.e. the people who don't yet know they need this solution. Now we do have some evidence of Grenade doing some good work in this space. For example, this blog post, which is ranking for macronutrition, what is a macro, what is macros, in the top on page 1. This for me is perfect traffic for Grenade, because people searching for what are macros are in that discovery phase. Maybe they're just about to start a diet plan, or they've been sent a plan by a trainer, or they've spoken to someone who says, you need to think about macros. They're now in this scary new period where they're starting to learn about nutrition and think about what they're putting in their bodies. And during this phase, they're likely to be told that you can't eat a whole bunch of stuff that you like. And that's really scary. They're then looking for replacements for that. So they have a problem, they're about to have a problem that they don't yet know they'll have. Grenade is the perfect solution because Grenade actually is a great tasting product that replaces all that stuff that you want to eat, but you can't eat, which works for macros. So this should be an absolute home run, game-changing strategy for them. They should be going all in with this. Anybody searching for tips around new diet or looking to get in shape should be finding Grenade content because Grenade is the thing that you want, but you can actually eat it. Brilliant. So this is the page that's ranking, and like so much of their digital marketing, it's good, but it could be way better. Firstly, the formatting of the page. Let's be completely honest and say this page has not been designed. When we would design a blog post, which is designed to be a pillar piece of content designed to rank, get traffic and customers, we would design it like any web page. We would have images, we'd have calls to action. The table of content should be formatted much more nicely. It's not. This is basically just an article with some of their good quality product photography just slammed in the middle. So where are the links to the products? Don't just get people on the page, link them through to the products that answer the questions that they need. Where's the call to action? Where's the email sign up to get people on the Grenade list to learn about nutrition? Where are the whole bunch of different links that would link through to other content on the website? Yes, we've got some like the benefits of protein, but really a post like this should be a gateway to a whole knowledge base of information about nutrients. This is Grenade's area. This is where they can dominate. And at the moment, they've made a token play. It seems to be working okay, but there is so much more opportunity here. Look at this table of information. It's an image. It's not even an HTML table, which means when you look at it on mobile, there's no way you could read it. Now, not to get too technical, but look at this URL structure. They've got this all page as a category page for this post. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That's telling Google that the authority page here is all. What this should be is grenade.com/blogs/nutrition guides / a beginner's guide to macros. But actually, it shouldn't even be a beginner's guide to macros because that's not what the post is called. The post is called What Are Macros? That's what people are searching for, so that should also be the URL. Before we move on to lessons, I also want to touch on Grenade's podcast. So they've got this podcast called Pull the Pin, which is with the founder, Alan Barratt. Alan is phenomenal, great personality, really interesting, fun to listen to, and to be honest, you could probably watch him all day. So are his guests. He's got some fantastic guests coming onto this podcast. You can get the podcast on YouTube, you can get it on podcast platforms like Spotify and iTunes and all that type of stuff. But the problem with the podcast is it's so sporadic in its release. You can see we've got 3 posts over the last month, and then there's nothing for 6 months. Now, I know from experience this is not the way to grow a podcast. You need to be consistent. But who is this stuff for? Is this for the gym people? Is it for the Britain's Got Talent primetime TV people? Is it for people that are into weight loss and want a tasty snack? These are completely different audiences which are going to respond to a totally different marketing message and different types of influencers. Here we have professional sports people, cricketers. I freaking love cricket, but I'm not sure that cricket fans are anywhere near Grenade customers. We have gymnasts. Again, is there much crossover there? And then we've got Alan's mates who are influencers in their own right, but again, a completely different audience. And this all ties back to this central question that I have, which is, does Grenade really clearly understand its target audience? If it does, I'm not sure that it's passing all of its marketing material through that filter. It doesn't feel particularly strategic here. They are posting gym memes with shredded people in one place. They're posting cheat meals and naughty stuff in another place. They're posting interviews with cricketers in one place. They're posting action movies with diversity in another place. They're posting recipes in another place. It's an explosion of activity, but it doesn't feel particularly strategic. And from looking at their marketing, I'm struggling to identify who their core target audience is. Just a quick one. You have subscribed to this channel, right? Okay. Just checking. Okay, so what are the lessons that we're gonna take from Grenade's marketing? Let's look at the stuff that they're doing well and give them credit where credit is due. Their branding is fantastic. It's bold, it's hard hitting, you cannot miss it. It's easy to spot any piece of Grenade marketing collateral just from the look and feel, the colors, the shouty caps, the language that's being used, the use of tanks and grenades in marketing, you just don't see it. So full marks for that. The question I have is if they do choose to move to a more mass market audience, how they tone that down from the jacked up fitness folk without alienating that initial target audience. The second thing I think they're doing really well is their content on social is genuinely funny. They found that amazing balance between being funny on social without making their business a joke. And I think that's really cool to see. So what about the opportunities for growth? Well, the first thing, I can't get over that opportunity with search. And how often do we end up saying this in these deep dives? Their website content is almost really good. And I think that there's a huge opportunity to increase their product discovery through search if they were a bit more conscious about this and they built out the content on their website, whilst also making a bit more of the direct consumer stuff on their site, linking that back through the content, linking to product pages to get those purchases. The second opportunity is this website. It really does feel a little bit out of date and a little bit unloved. If they want to move more towards direct consumer, they can make up a lot of ground here. Now, I don't know whether this is going to be a focus of their new owners, Mondelez, given that that's not really their history and that's not their portfolio. But if they did want to move more D2C, they're going to need to focus more attention on this website and building it out a little bit more. The next area of opportunity is with social influencer, and this really feels like it's ready to take another step. It doesn't feel like we're particularly clear about who our target influencers should be, and that's a real opportunity because for a product like this, with an audience like this, it should be an absolute influencer home run. There are so many things that you could do with tanks and grenades and bombs and stuff, which would be amazing. But currently it doesn't really feel like it's getting the traction that it could. I'd also like to see them playing with their story a lot more and using that in their marketing, much like Huel do. I think there's a lot of opportunity for building personality in a business like this, particularly whilst the founders are still involved. This doesn't need to feel like a huge corporate brand. Just because it is a corporate brand doesn't mean that you have to lose that origin story. And that's a great way of connecting with consumers through social, through email, and through your website. But the final lesson here really, I think, is you can grow to be a big successful business if you have a great product. Look at the amount of marketing opportunities with their digital, and they are still growing and still successful. This is the beauty of having a great product that people want to keep coming back and buying. It can often feel intimidating when we do these deep dives of brands like MyProtein and the Hut Group, and we see they've got so much stuff so right. Well, hopefully this gives you a little bit of hope that actually you don't have to have everything absolutely perfect in order to get traction. So I hope you've enjoyed this digital marketing deep dive into Grenade.com. Don't forget to request your free website and digital marketing review and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Drop us a comment letting us know which brands you would like to see us deep dive next time. We release a new video every week, so keep your eyes peeled until the next one. See you soon.